Assalamualaikum. How are you all? I hope you all are fine and healthy. Students, today we are going to discuss Unit 2, and that is water. So this unit will develop your understanding and awareness of water with reference to oceans, seas, rivers, the water cycle, our water supply, floods, and pollution. Before starting the actual lecture, first let's discuss the importance of water, that how water is so important for us. Actually, water is one of the most important substances on earth. All plants and animals must have water to survive. And if there is no water, there will be no life on earth. So here the question arises that how many forms of water we have seen on the earth. It means that what are the specific sources of water from which we acquire water? And the answer is ocean, lake, dam, river, seas are some of the sources from which we can acquire water. And the fact is that about 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and the remaining 29% of Earth's surface is covered with land. The oceans, in which hold about 96.5% of all Earth, and almost all of this is salty water and found in oceans and seas. So here you can see the fact that our whole Earth, in our whole Earth, 71% is water and 29% is land. So here I have a map of oceans and seas. This black bold text shows the name of continent. This bold blue text shows oceans, and this small blue text shows seas. We have almost 5 oceans around the world, and when it comes to seas, we can notice that there are 27 seas around the world, like Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America. Australia has its own sets of seas, like you can see on this map, that Asia has its own seas, Europe has its own seas. So all the 27 seas distributed around the world. So first ocean is Arctic Ocean, second is Pacific Ocean, third is Atlantic Ocean, fourth is Indian Ocean, and the fifth one is Antarctic Ocean. Alright. So guys, here the question is arises that what is the difference between ocean and seas? We have noticed that ocean and sea are both water bodies, but there is a slight difference between them which you need to know. Like a sea is a large body of salty water that may be connected to an ocean or a part of an ocean and enclosed by the land. So for sea, there are three specifications, like that may be connected to an ocean or a part of an ocean or enclosed by land. For example, the Mediterranean Sea, Baltic Sea, and Black Sea. These three are the specific sea in the world that are enclosed by the land. And here some seas have land on three sides. For example, Arabian Sea. And oceans are large bodies of salt water like a sea, but it covers 97% of Earth's water, and it don't have definite boundaries. For example, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Antarctic Ocean, like we have discussed in the previous map. Okay, let's locate these places on the map again. So here I have a map again of oceans and seas, in which you can see that Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. These two are the specific seas that are enclosed by the land. And at the same time, these two seas are a part of Atlantic Ocean. On the other hand, Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea is surrounded by the land from three sides, and again it is a part of an Indian Ocean. And when it comes to ocean, we can see that there are no limited boundaries. Oceans have unlimited boundaries. They have not definite boundaries. Like you can see on this map, Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Antarctic Ocean. Okay, rivers. Guys, very little of the water on earth is fresh water that can be used for drinking and growing crops. And most of this fresh water is found in rivers. So here we can found that fresh water is very little in amount in the world, in the whole world. And river is one of the source of fresh water from which we can acquire fresh water which can be used for drinking and growing crops. And here I have also mentioned the fact that almost 2.5% to 2.75% is fresh water available on the whole earth. Right? You can see that how little water available on the whole earth, fresh water. Okay, here I have a map of major rivers of the world. I must tell you guys that there are 76 rivers around the world. But here I have a map of some major rivers of the world. All 76 rivers are not mentioned on this map. Okay, so this block, these colorful blocks, like these shows the names of the continent. Like this is Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia. And like seas, every continent, every area has its own sets of rivers, like you can see on this map. Alright. So here I have a list of major longest rivers in the world. Mississippi, North America, Amazon, South America, Nile, Africa, Volga, Europe, Yangtze, Asia, Murray-Darling, Australia. Now let's locate these rivers on the map. So again, this is the map of major rivers of the world, and now we are going to locate the longest rivers of the world. So Mississippi in North America. So the North American river, which is the longest river of the world, is Mississippi. Here you can locate Mississippi in North America. Second one is Amazon. Amazon is in South America. Here you can see this is the South American region, and here is the river of Amazon. Then Nile, which is in Africa. This is Nile in African continent. Volga. Volga, the river, the longest river of the world, is in Europe. Then we have Yangtze. Yangtze is in Asia. And the last one is Murray-Darling, which is in Australia. Okay, now let's discuss the rivers of Pakistan. So guys, Pakistan has five major rivers. First one is Indus River. Interestingly, Indus River is the longest river of Pakistan. It starts from the mountains of China in the north and it ends in Arabian Sea in the south. Second is Jhelum, third is Chenab, fourth is Ravi, fifth is Satluj. And all the five rivers at the end connected with the Indus River, it becomes a one chain and this chain ends in Arabian Sea. Okay, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Satluj. These are the five rivers of Pakistan. So guys, have you ever think that where does the water in our rivers come from? That what are the how can we acquire water? For this, I have a video for you all. This video will tell you that how can we acquire water and how water comes in our rivers. This video contains the whole process of water cycle, and the water cycle is one of the process which is responsible for providing us the water. Okay, let's see this. Okay, students, now let's discuss the concepts we have learned from the video. This picture will help us to revise the concepts. Alright, here you can see that when the sun shines on the water like this, sun shines on the water in our oceans and rivers, it heats it up. And when it heats it up, some of the water is turned into gas called water vapors. Sun heats ocean, then ocean water then turn into gas, which is called water vapors. The water vapors rises up into the air and form clouds like this. Water vapor forms the cloud. The clouds move over the land. This cloud move over the land like this. When the clouds are heavy with water, drops of water fall back to the earth again as rain, like this. In this way, water is recycled and the whole process is called water cycle. So this whole process is called water cycle. Sunshine, sunshine heats the water, water rises into gas, in the form of gas or turned into gas, which is called water vapors. Water vapors rises up into the sky and forms the cloud, then cloud move towards the land, and when cloud is heavy with water, then drops of water fall back to the earth again as rain, like you can see in this picture. So when rain falls on the land, some of it soaks into the earth and stays there, and this is called groundwater. When the land soaks the water, it will become groundwater. Some of the water runs off the land and forms river. When it runs off the land, it forms river. In cold places such as high mountains, the water falls as snow because of because of low temperature. And sometimes the snow hardens into thick layer of ice called glaciers. And in summer the snow melts and runs down the mountains into rivers. Then it finally flows back into oceans once again. So this is the process of water cycle from which we can acquire water. So that's how water comes into rivers and oceans and the whole process runs again. So this is the picture of snowy area, and these are glaciers that sometimes the snow hardens into thick layers of ice called glaciers. So why we need water? We have discussed that how can we acquire water, we have discussed the whole process of water cycle, and we have discussed that how water comes into our rivers. But why we need water? Now the question is that answer is we need water for drinking, we need water for washing, for growing crops, cooking. We need water for factories to make different products. We need water to produce electricity, for swimming, and for keeping our animals. Correct? Now, for storing water, we have so many sources. We have so many methods like wells. canals, and carriages. These three are the major methods that we are commonly used to store water, in which wells and carriages are ancient one. Old people used wells and carriages to store the water for different purposes. Like wells are large holes, like you can see in this picture, are large holes dug in the ground to pump water from underground. Alright? Then canals. Canals take water from the rivers to drier parts of the country. Whenever there is a need of water, whenever there is a dry area anywhere in the country where there is no water for irrigation, where there is no water to produce electricity, where there is no water to do the daily tasks, so canals are used. What canals do? Canals take water from rivers to the dry parts of the country, and major day canals used for irrigation for growing crops. Then carries. Carries is underground water channel used for irrigation, and that is ancient one. Then tanks, reservoirs, and dams are used to store water. So how can we store water? We can store water in wells and canals by carries, tanks, reservoir, dams for this purpose. Okay, dams. So guys, a dam is a thick wall built across river or lake to hold the water back. What is dam? It is a thick wall built across river or lake to hold the water back. The water that dams hold back forms a lake, and it can be used for drinking, producing electricity, and for so many purposes. Alright, in next slide I have a picture of dam. So this is the picture of dam. Here you can see that this thick wall which holds water back and forms the lake, which is further used for daily use. So this is the thick wall. It holds the water back and forms a lake, which we can use for our daily tasks, like for drinking, for washing, for cooking, for everything. Like factories even use this water. So in Pakistan, the largest dam is the Bela Dam, which is built on Indus River. Like this blue line shows the Indus River, this long blue line shows the Indus River, and this is Tarbela. So the largest dam of Pakistan is the Bela Dam. Second one is Mangla Dam. Mangla Dam is here. It is built on Jhelum River. So Jhelum is the second. This is the second line shows the Jhelum River, and here Mangla. You can see the name of Mangla here. So the first is Tarbela Dam, second is Mangla Dam. And the Warsak Dam. Warsak Dam is built on Kabul River. So in NWFP, this is Kabul River, and on Kabul River, Warsak Dam is built. Okay, here you can see Kabul, the name of Kabul. And the name of NWFP has been changed into KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So keep it in mind, guys. Now, previously we have seen that how dam is built, what is the structure of dam, how can we use water from dam, how dam facilitate people. So there are some problems that caused by dams. Okay, we will discuss one by one. So the first one is soil erosion. Okay, now we will see that how soil erosion caused problem for the local people. So guys, when water is released from the dam, it flows very fast and this wears away or erodes the land. When the dam water flows or released, it flows very fast. And when it flows very fast, it wears away or it wash away the fertile soil over the land. And when fertile soil washes away, when fertile soil erodes or wears away, it leaves the land unfertile. Second problem is fish stop laying eggs. Some fishes can no longer swim upstream to lay their eggs. So this is the second problem. Third is danger of bursting. It means that if a dam bursts the water, if a dam bursts, the water can kill animals and people so far. It can destroy homes and crops as well. So you can see that how the bursting of dam caused problems for the people, for the animals, and for the plants. And you know what? This happens in February 2005 when the Shakidor Dam in Balochistan burst due to flooding caused by very heavy rainfall. Fourth one is displacement of people. It means that sometimes whole villages have to be moved in order to build the dam. People has to move when there is a plan to build a dam anywhere. When Tabela Dam was built, 135 villages were covered by the water, and almost 96,000 people had to find new places to live. So that's how soil erosion, fish stop laying eggs, danger of bursting, displacement of people are the problems that caused by dam. Though dam provide facilities and opportunities for the people, but on the other side, on the other hand, it caused so many problems. So what if we cannot protect water, or we cannot take care of our water? What if? What will going to be happen if we don't protect our water? So the answer is, if we cannot protect water, pollution will occur. Water pollution will occur. And when water becomes polluted, water is polluted when it contains harmful things that make it unsafe to use. It means when the unwanted material or the hazardous material mixed with water, it creates dangerous effects, or it creates danger, or it make it unsafe to use. Alright? And the water become contaminated. So this is how water become contaminated because of inappropriate sewage system, because of industrial waste, because of faces of animals. Now we'll see the effects of polluted water, that how it is going to be effect on normal life, normal human or animal life. So drinking and bathing in polluted water can make people ill. Plants and animals in river, lakes and oceans die. It looks and smells bad. So that's how it affects normal life of animals and human beings and plants as well. So what can we do to stop water? What are the specific policies that we apply to stop this pollution? So first of all, teach people about the harm it can do to us. Ask government to do more to stop it. Use fewer chemicals in farming. Save the water. Clean up areas that are already polluted. So first of all, create awareness of this pollution and ask government or force government to stop this by applying or by forcing some policies. Use fewer chemicals in farming or in industries. Now, safe water is the eminent one from which we can stop water pollution. Clean up areas that are already polluted. So that's how these are some specific or basic steps which if we follow, we can stop this water pollution. So this is the information in which you can see that 1.5 billion people globally do not have access to adequate sewage treatment. Cholera, malaria, diarrhea. Lack of safe drinking water and sanitation in cities leads to severe health issues such as cholera, malaria, and diarrhea because of water pollution. And 2 million tons. Every day, over 2 million tons of sewage, industrial, and agricultural waste are discharged into world's water, the equivalent of the weight of the entire human population. Here we can see that how water gets polluted. 18% of the world's population defecate in the open. This is compromising the quality of nearby water bodies and poses an extreme human health risk. So, 3% of all deaths worldwide are related to unsafe or inadequate water. Here you can see that 3% of the world deaths are solely related to the unsafe and inadequate water or sanitation and hygiene. 3.5 billion people in 2025 will face water shortages. According to a survey carried out by Food and Water Watch, approximately 3.5 billion people in 2005 will face water shortages mainly caused by water pollution. So, if we cannot protect the water, if we cannot stop the pollution of water, this will, the effects that we will face in the next some years in the very high amount. So, it is the need of an hour. We should we should take some steps. We should take some appropriate measures to stop this water pollution by starting from ourselves. Now, water and weather. Here we will see that how weather is connected with water and how water is connected with weather. So, first of all, you need you need to know about weather, that what is weather. So the weather is the day-to-day changes in temperature, rainfall, cloud, and wind in a place. Weather is what? Like you can say that in the morning, today is sunny day, tomorrow will be rainy day, and yesterday was a cloudy day. So these kind of changes in temperature, in rainfall, in the overall characteristics of climate is called weather. Weather is basically for a short period of time. It is not for a long period of time. So the day-to-day changes in temperature, rainfall, cloud, and wind in a place is called weather. Now, here you can see the types of clouds. You know what? Cloud names are a bit tricky, but it's fun to learn their names. Contrails, cumulus, cumulonimbus, cirrocumulus, cirrostratus, altostratus, nimbostratus, stratocumulus, cirrus, altocumulus, stratus, and fog. These 10 are the names of or the types of clouds, and in which the tall cumulonimbus nimbus and the thick nimbostratus These two are the ones that bring rain. And you know what? In Pakistan, most of our rain comes during the monsoon season from June to September. From June to September. And when it rains heavily for a long time, water in river can overflow. This is called flooding. Okay, when water in river can overflow, this converts in flooding. And flood cause a lots of damage. When it occurs, it destroys crops, vehicles, buildings, bridges. It, it kills animals and people as well. And it causes water pollution and destroy health of the people so far. So you know what? Floods cause more damage and kill more people than any other kind of disaster caused by weather. And it can take a community a long time to get back to normal life after a flood. So that's how it caused damage to each and every sector of life due to weather critical conditions. So, what if we cannot protect water or we cannot take care of our water? What if? What will going to be happen if we don't protect our water? So the answer is if we cannot protect water, pollution will occur. Water pollution will occur.
Okay, students, open page 11 in your book. You will see some questions at the end of the page. So let's try to find the answer of these questions. First question is, which ocean is the largest ocean? So you can see that Pacific Ocean, though on the both sides of the world, is the largest ocean of the world. Second question is, which ocean is the nearest to Pakistan? So here you can see that I have also mentioned, I have marked Pakistan, and the nearest ocean of Pakistan is Indian Ocean. Third question is, what is the name of the ocean near Antarctica? So this is Antarctica, and the nearest ocean of Antarctica is Southern Ocean, which is also known as Antarctic Ocean. Fourth question is, what is the name of the sea of the coast of Pakistan? So here the nearest sea of Pakistan is Arabian Sea. Alright. Here you can see the questions and their answers. So what you have to do is, you just need to write these questions and answers in your notebook. Also mention today's date, classwork, chapter name and chapter number, and start doing your work. I'll check your work in the next class. Okay?
And thank you for your listening.